And it's interesting, you know, because people talk about this. She was really a wonderful person, and everybody loved her, and everybody liked, you know. Well, why does such bad things happen to such good people? Because they're not guided. It has nothing to do with your being good or bad. If you're not guided, you become the victim on the chessboard or checkerboard, the pawn that gets pushed, moved around. If you're the victim, you can't be the king. The king piece don't move, it just sits there. And every other piece must defend it. The queen has all the power. So she can't be the victim. So you either want to be the king or the queen. One or the other. Don't be the pawn now. Don't get pushed around. And then start hollering, God don't love me. You know, we like to blame God when stuff happens to us. Ain't no God. till our number comes straight, then praise the Lord. Black folks deep, man. But I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be anything else. And there's a lot of wonderful people down here. But believe me, it's really good to be us. It really is. Honest to goodness, it's really good to be us. And I mean, that's not knocking any other ethnic group. Are we about ready, my brother? Huh? Oh, I'm on. Well, why didn't you tell me that, Emiola? Just sneak the camera on. I might want to say something against the FBI, CIA. The 12 personalities of planet Earth. That's what the 12 week course is about, which will go beyond 12 weeks. Cause I've been here a couple of weeks and wasn't nobody here but me in these chairs, so I couldn't run it for 2 hours in front of the chairs. We've had about 3 real classes as far as lecture information goes. We've dealt with Aries and the 30 degrees of Aries fairly thoroughly, and the planet Mars, which governs it. Briefly, we're talking about the science and the art and the philosophy of the influence of this planetary system that we live in. And this knowledge tells us that we are citizens of a solar system. Therefore, we are citizens of that which causes the solar system to exist, which of course is a universe. Uni versus, one verse, one statement, one word is universe. We've already dealt with part of the Codex Inscriptus that gives us insight into the knowledge of self. And that's my intent. It's not to talk about this science objectively. I don't know no objective black folks. We subjective about everything. We got feelings about everything. So it's very difficult to be objective about a body of knowledge that sets your head on fire. And something you say to yourself is, man, I got to go tell somebody about this. That's what gets you out of the house looking for somebody to explain this information to, because you realize how important it is when it begins to quicken your sense of self. There are 3 missing keys in our culture: identity, self-knowledge, and self-revelation. When those 3 keys are in place in consciousness, your soul self, the true you, begins to open up, begins to give you insight as to who and what you really are, as well as where you really are. It just happens because that's the proper divine orientation of self. We can supplement and still be fairly accurate. There are a lot of brothers who believe that they are Hebrews, black Jews. That Wally Akram thought he was an Arab. Well, he spent so many years studying Islam and was so impressed with the Arabian of Arabia that he decided to change his citizenship to Arabian because black folks had no dignity in the 20s. I mean, so brothers used to take a towel and tie around their head and put on a little cheap suit and walk into any hotel in America and say, "I would like a room, please. My name is Abdul blah 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 blah." Well, yes, sir. Yeah. And get waited on like that. In other words, a black man could be anything but an American black man to get the kind of service, recognition, prestige, and honor as any foreigner would get. Of course, that wasn't true everywhere. I mean, my roommate, an African from Ghana, thought so. You know, I'm an African. I have a country. And went up to the restaurant up 3 blocks up past Xavier University in Cincinnati, in the Appalachian neighborhood, and he went from African to nigger in less than 1 day, because that was their mentality about anybody black. It's whether he had an accent or no accent, could speak or couldn't speak. And he was hurt. I mean, this young man, because this was you know, like real, right, straight out of Ghana, African. I mean, you know, he didn't have all this stuff we got in the back of our heads about this American white boy, you know. But he was dreaming, you know, in terms of not being a part of what we are. And it didn't take but 1 day. And his brother came back. This is a very bright young man, you know. Came back. Freeman, I swear, I cannot understand this. I cannot understand this. He called me a nigger. A nigger. This young boy, folks got money. You know, he wasn't a prince or anything. But you know, he wasn't on welfare either. Let me tell you that. You know, that kind of psychology. Now, my later understanding that they had the reason he was hurt was not because of the fire with which the white boy threw at him. What I realized is that Cleto Hassan Rial, that was his name, did not know who he was. You can't become something other than yourself when you know who self is. If you know you can sing, can't nobody say, "Man, that don't sound right." You know? Remember when, this is a perfect example of that idea. One of the announcers tried to criticize Michael Jordan's game one day when he was a little off. And he was saying, well, I tell you what, Rashid. And he said, yeah, Al, you missed a couple of shots and made a couple of bad passes. And Michael looked at him like this. So I said, what is wrong with you? You know, because he knew what he could do. Well, that's identity. That's self-knowledge. That's self-revelation. It lets you know what you can do, who you are, and what you are. And no critique can change that. Criticism hurts, stumbles, doubt, fear, inferiority as a complex, the illusion of, let me make that perfectly clear. So we're trying to fix this point of self-orientation centered. Man, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. You can ask any preacher about that. Yeah, that's right, that's in the Bible, brother. Let's praise the Lord. Well, explain that to me, brother. Well, then you hear Daffy Duck. He goes stuttering and uttering. And it should not be like that. It should not be like that. But the American Negro Christian preacher has not taken the book he places all of his faith in to the next level. To the level of, towards the unity of the faith, to the knowledge of the Son of God, to the measure of the fullness of the stature of Christ. When he gets it there, he's got to explain what G-O-D means, what M-A-N means. Then he'll come in and explain this to you when he gets there. This is not religion. These are English letters. That's not the religion. That's a code, and it's a part of what is called the Codex Inscriptus. These are presently referred to as Masonic symbols. As we look back into the annals of ancient, quote, Egyptian history, and I put that word Egyptian in quotes, we find that these are African symbols. Then as we look deeper, we find that they are symbols made by nature. Okay. That man is only the custodian of true symbology, which is the language of the universe, the language of nature, which oversteps the boundaries of all cultural differences, languages, problems, and fits into the collective mythologies of all people. All countries, cultures have a mythology about their God and themselves. I-S-L-A-M, I, self, law, and master, is the meaning of I-S-L-A-M. It does not mean Islam. It's pronounced Islam. Islam means peace. The Moors in the Moor Science Temple were given this as a statement. They would say, Islam, brother. And they didn't know what this meant. And I'm not criticizing. I checked. They didn't know what this meant. The Moors in C.M. Bay's Institute found out what it meant. Because C.M. Bay had come in, through, and out of the Masonic order, and decided that he needed to go teach the American Negro. That was his effort that brought it up to the next level. Nova Drawley did not get a chance to do that. They killed him before he got a chance to unfold his given blueprint, whatever that blueprint might have been. Okay, the crescent and the star, we've already dealt with the mother and son. We'll deal with it even further as we get into the physiology of the 12 signs. Mother is given as the symbol of the moon as representing Cancer. It is the great symbol in any culture of mother. No matter where you are, the moon represents mother. No matter what language the people there are speaking, they know this represents the feminine principle. The five-pointed star is the sun, and man. Okay, so you have, I'll go this briefly. I've done this before, but I want to, again, rehearse. I'm going to do this, so sometimes I sound monotonous, because I want certain concepts understood. My son is what this represents first, on the first level. That's where they get the concept Mason from. And it's interesting, an order that does not hold the female in the highest dignity. In fact, most Eastern Star women don't have the knowledge that the male Mason has. They don't have it. Let me correct it. They didn't have it the last time I checked. So that's important. Jesus and Mary, mother and son. There's no crescent and star on the Quran or in the Quran except Isa and Mary. Jesus and Mary, mother and son. The point I'm making is this universality of the symbolisms. They don't belong to a religion. The knowledge of the universe makes religions via those that are commissioned to inscribe the religion. They happen to have been your ancestors. Every religion was founded by somebody black on this planet. Let me put it that way. And they weren't always men. The spiritual status of the African woman, so-called, has yet to be revealed. The spiritual status dark skin, broad nose, thick-lipped and furrowed-haired, and those variations thereof, which means brown skin, light brown skin, red bone, are the descriptives of the descendants of the ancient Moors. The concept blackamoor is in the dictionary. It was in there when you was in the first grade and when you graduated. It was in there when you got to college and when you quit or when you finished. And not one of those teachers, I'm willing to bet, said turn to the B's and look up blackamoor. Because many of them, and I'm not going to say all, many of them didn't know it was in there. The problem of the school system is that the educators in the school systems are hired educators. Which means when somebody hires you, you do what they say, not what you think ought to be done. That's the problem. So some have gone over the heads of their curriculum administrators and taught, and have been persecuted for being so honorable, lost their jobs or got harassed by their principals and so forth. Okay, well, let me go through this quickly because we're going to keep getting back to this. All we're actually going to do is this. In the whole of this science, everything we're going to talk about is explained in symbology right here. It is also on the back of your dollar bill that you've been carrying around all these years. It has a host of your history on the back of that $1 bill, and only on the $1 bill. The pyramid as self is the building, symbolically, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. This building has been there so long, they're confused about its age. A symbolic representation of the perfect body is what that biblical reference is talking about. It's not talking about this building as the perfect body. This is the perfect building because it's made with all the mathematics on the planet. What's the orientation? 3-point-something degrees of the exact center of land mass. Not the exact center of the planet, but land mass. Okay, the Kaaba in Mecca is supposed to be in the exact center of the earth. I don't know if that's true or not. Brother wanted to try to get into a bickering thing with me, and my point was this is in the center of land mass. But its reference is found in Isaiah chapter 19, if you want to take a look at what it means in relationship to symbological representation of self. Okay, we'll cover that. In fact, I saw a King James Bible back there in the back. Did somebody buy that one?
It's supposed to be carrying.
Okay.
Anybody buy it?
Okay, I've seen one back there. I want to redo that because I didn't deal with that very well. On the back of the dollar bill, the pyramid is there with an eye up above it, elevated. And the question, of course, is what is a African building doing on the back of an American dollar with Latin letters on it? Good question. Very, very good question. And until one appreciates symbology in the Masonic order, and that this is a Masonic government, then none of that seems to come together until that point strikes home. Got it? Good. Okay, thank you. Here it simply represents the physical body itself. But the orientation of this building is, it is squared at the base. At the bottom, this is the perfect square of the Pyramid of Giza. And of course, this is the vertical line of Capricorn and Cancer in the mid-heaven and the nadir. And of course here is 0-point degree of Aries. And the opposite of Aries, of course, is Libra. This is the ascending point on the zodiac, and this is the descending point on that zodiac. So the orientation of the universe is inscribed very simplistically in the square of the pyramid that's in the center of the landmass of planet Earth. Okay. That's the kind of knowledge that was hidden in that building that black folks were studying while Europeans were running around in caves with fur wrapped around their loins. Okay, I mean, now that's history. That's not a put down. See, because we built homes in the ground. We lived in the ground, mud homes. Some of us, and some of us lived in trees. But we're talking millennia, okay? I mean, way long time ago, like what's his name? Dr. Henry Clark said nearly half of human history was over before anybody on the planet knew that there were Europeans. That's his historical pontification, a black man who must be admired at his Herculean effort to correct the conspiracy about our past. Okay, so the building is symbolical of your spiritual body. In the Masonic science, it also represents your physical form, that you're supposed to be building a physical body that does not die on this planet. That's a part of the process of the great wheel, birth and death. Birth until you get it right. That's how many times you're going to be coming back here. Or until you get off of the wheel. That's the universe's plan, which exceeds going to heaven, which exceeds going to paradise, which exceeds going to nirvana. You can get there by belief and following the basic rules and gaining the Holy Spirit. Take you to any one of those planes. But you got to come back down here. See, until you say you don't want to come back. And the energy can't pull you back down here. The call is a pull. There are some who willingly choose to come back to heaven. But the majority are pulled back. Not only by the forces of this energy environment, but because it corresponds with their desire nature. They have desires unfinished on this plane, so they have to come back to get those worked out. That's the karmic pattern that all of us are engaged in. And while we're down here now, we didn't finish what we started the last time. And if we don't do it this time, we'll be back down here sitting in one of these little rooms with somebody else telling you what somebody told you. Maybe 30, maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe 25 years. You know, whatever your karmic pattern needs to do. And some souls that is stated die and 3 weeks later reincarnated. Particularly if they weren't supposed to leave the body. And somebody took their body. And they get another. Okay, let me brush it up here. The compass and the square, these are the great tools of Masonic order, and the ones that seem to have the most prestige, I guess because they represent heavy math. Oh, the compass and the square, oh, brother. Well, that's fine too. The compass represents the circle and things spiritual in terms of measuring. It circumscribes the invisible universe that is an infinite proposition, whose center is nowhere, whose circumference is everywhere. do you measure that except by symbolical representation? That's the ordeal of the circle. As I mentioned before, the serpent with his tail in his mouth was the representation of infinity. And of course, we thought it was the devil. I'll leave that little story alone. I got too many little stories, so let me get on, because otherwise I'll get stuck here. But you'll see this on someone's lapel or someone's ring or some apron in a parade, and it represents the craft of the mason. The G represents geometry. The G also inscribes G-O-D. Abbreviation, Government of Democracy. That's the mundane Masonic lore meaning of G-O-D. But the whole of measuring is geometrical. We already know how to do that because we have to do that. When you look at your watch and say, well, take me about 5 minutes to get over there. You're measuring by time and distance, imagination. That's mathematica. That's the Latin word for astrologer. When I do this, and say 1, 2, and 3 equals 6, that's not mathematics. That's arithmetica, the art of measuring. Or what we call the art of counting. In a solar system of 9 planets, we use a system of 9 numbers in the process of coming into life in 9 months. In circumscribed of a circle of 360 degrees, 3 and 6 of course is 9. So the pattern of self is set, is standard, it's 9. The vibration of spiritual completion, the ending of things completed, and the opportunity for new things to begin. The 1-0, so-called, when actually there isn't a 10. A 10 is simply a 1 and a 0, which you've already have prescribed in the acknowledgement of the 9 numbers and the 0, which is not a number because 0 does not equal anything. It elevates everything. Okay. The law of correspondence, I, self, law, am master, and of course, oh, wait a minute, I didn't deal with this. Let me do this. Well, because I'm supposed to do this. Anyway, now, much of this information dealing with the Codex Inscriptus you can find on videotapes. I got about so many back there. So the brother will tune in if you're interested in more of this self-knowledge. The square representing the perfect angle of things, which is a 45-degree angle. We meet on the level. We part on the square. You see my feet from back there? It is the Masonic statement of meeting his brother honestly, face to face, open. Leaving on the square is leaving as a perfect man. The square represents the perfection of things physical. Bringing the spiritual to its perfection is the idea of squaring the circle. Okay? The right angle let me go ahead and do this. The right angle right angle. Get this out so I don't
One of those is wrong.
knock the table down here.
You got one of those.
Huh?
This one should be going up on the left.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. Thank you. Thank you. Which is called swastika, which is not a German word, it is a Sanskrit word. The people who speak Sanskrit in Bengali are Ethiopians. Dark skin, broad nose, fine nose, thick lips, thin lips, furrowed hair, curly hair, wavy hair. Same folks, jet black. Okay, let me get a good stance here. The swastika, the word of God, he who came from nothing. Okay? Yahuwah, he who causes to become. Gabera, he who causes to become. Hitler took it to do his thing. Okay, that's the deeper meaning of the right angle in relationship to the compass and the square. Read Psalm 12, chapter 12, or is it Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Okay? If you've seen a Masonic Bible, you'll find that on the Masonic Bible, the compass and the square, then when you open it up, you'll find Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and the compass and the square on top of it. Make sure that every Mason reads it with understanding. So read it and then you come back next Sunday and say, brother, what does that mean? And I'll explain it. Okay. That's how I get you back. Give you some tidbits to bring you to this. There's something that happens in the course of digesting this information. You collide with some belief stuff. And it's interesting. It don't take much for a lot of black folks to get filled up. You know, a teaspoon of this here and, brother, it's wonderful. Won't see him for 6 months. And it just took one brother 2 years to buy the key volume. Finally, and I talked with him about 15, 20 minutes. But brother, what should I read? What should I do? Where you going? You know, so get the key volume. This is a brother who worked every day. I mean, he wasn't hanging on the corner. 2 years, you know. He come back 2 years. I got it, brother. I found it, you know. I don't, you know, it's got to do with how each individual is growing. You know? When one brother, I first came here, a brother named Charles White. That brother was gone about 45 minutes the same day. So I'm on the other side of the street. I got it. He ain't stopped yet. The brother went from the post office to opening his own little bookstore in his own little hometown in Georgia. And put his fares on in a hurry. I don't know what, I haven't seen Charles in, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Okay. But I just want to point out how it works, you know. It stays in there. When you get this in here, you can't get this out. You know, you can't believe this away. Because your own spirit agrees with the knowledge of self. And if you let go, it'll explain it to you. You just ask. Just ask, all you do. The numbers you see on the law of correspondence, which is referred to as the Star of David. I like to do this little quiz here. Who do you know wears this badge? Very good. Sister got it right off the bat. She ain't sweet. Here last Sunday, a couple of sisters stuff there. One of them was, some of them just, and I've done that. I've talked with brothers, and the brother, right on. I mean, ain't no junk or nothing, but something closes, you know. And the only thing I can figure, the brother ain't ready for it, you know. Just nod it right on out, you know. And in India, they don't say wake the brother up. I said, if you see your brother sleep, let him sleep, for his soul needs the rest. Over here, and brother said, wake them brothers up. Then 10 years later, oh, they all going back to sleep. Well, we didn't tell him anything. We told him what was wrong with the white boy and how we was being mistreated and all of that. Okay. The law of correspondence. The marshal and the sheriff wear this one. Who wears this one? Who wears the star? Huh? Who wears this one? That's 5 points. At least they both look like 5 points.
Federal marshal.
Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers.
Yeah. One. They got one star, a long star.
Okay.
The state, that state, along with California, Tejas, they took from the Mexican Moors. Mexico means mixed group. The Yucatans. That's where some of your ancestors were. I don't know, have you all been to Mexico?
Yeah.
Mexicans look just like y'all.
Check.
Of course, you don't see those on TV.
No.
Yeah, look just like y'all. One thing they speak, Latin American. Okay. So the law of correspondence, as above, so below. As within, so without. As without, so within. In relationship, this book, the Kybalion, is what that's dealing with. One of the universal laws that is not going to change as to whether you believe or don't believe. The laws of the universe are constant. If you don't know them, you're at a disadvantage. If you know them, you're at a great advantage. If you can move with the universe, you have to prosper as the universe maintains its own substance. That's what prosperity is. How we mold it is our business. Your 1996 Oldsmobile or Cadillac is still old iron as to whether you know it or not. They got that iron out of the ground and they molded it. So we're talking spiritually about substance. Our capacity to obtain more substance is prosperity. You mold it with your mind by understanding the laws of mind and the techniques of mind, which we're going to deal with one or two of those techniques today in our meditational approach. But let me get on here. Okay, the law of correspondence, as above, so below, is the great law in relationship to our viewing of astrology. It is not the only law. All the laws are at work here. The law that moves everything is the law of rhythm, is the great law. When rhythm halts, that which it supports crumbles. Therefore we have destruction. When rhythm changes, everything that it supports changes. When you're moving in good rhythm, good things happen. When you're moving in bad rhythm, bad things happen. So if you want to change your life, change your rhythm. If you change your rhythm, you got to change your thinking. If you change your thinking and your rhythm, your life's going to change, and the things that you so desire will come unto you. I don't like that. Unto. It sounds like it means not you. Like brothers say, peace be unto you. You know, that's not grammatically correct, but we'll just use it. It's just a little problem I have with that statement. It will come to you. You draw your good. You draw your good. That's the law of attraction. And you repel your good. That's the law of repulsion. So you know that it ain't God doing it, it's you doing it, Lord, which means law of the earth, which means your body. You're either the master of yourself or you're your body's slave. Now, which one do you want to be? Either living according to the pumping chemistry of your glands. I need another steak. Okay, you know, the glands do all the kicking now. See? Okay, the ones that get you up in the morning at 4 o'clock to put on them clothes to get out there and catch that bus at 6:05 so you can be at work at 7:15. You got to eat. That's your glands. Okay? But that's the tick-tock, back and forth, duality. Hungry, full. Hungry, full. Sober, drunk. All duality. Okay. But if you get up here, the tick-tock don't bother you. Because you're being swung back and forth, to and fro, up and down. Okay? The laws of the universe. I, self-law, am master. I am is the highest statement in English a human being and a divine being can say. I am. The circle and the cross, which is a circle and the square, is represented by 33 1/3. Quickly, how much is that? You're doing it wrong. I can see now because you're busy counting. This sister here is sharp. She ain't slack up. You said 999. That's right. 9. 4 times 9 is what? 36, which is 9. Okay, very good. Very good. She's sharp. Very good. That's what you're trying to get. The full circle square. This comes in the spirit, just like that, not with the numbers on it, but the circle and the square of light will come in the spirit. Your spirit will show it to you when you get it. That's the master mason consciousness, when you get this. And you have the master's mind. And in that mind, there's no sickness, no poverty, no death, no fear, no foolishness. Pure light, pure mind. Real power. Keep in mind it's about power. Barbara's saying it's about love. Well, she's right. Because love is power. It ain't just about feeling good, which is where most human beings are in their heart organ. They feel love, but they don't have the power. So the power can't protect them. You can't mistreat divine love. You can mistreat emotions, but not love. Love is a power that will not be trifled with. Will not be trifled with. It stops all foolishness. Stops it. You come in there, I think if you wear my bill, and you open your stuff open up, and it shuts his mouth. It sits him down so he can think. You know, that ain't no fool there, man. That's a woman. They think. That's what the mother is supposed to have. When he walks in the house, he's supposed to get bathed in her peace, in her joy. He'd be so tired, you know. He said, baby, I'm tired, but I'm glad I'm here. That's goddess. Okay, making it relevant to why we're studying, looking at astrology. Making relevant, we're talking about self. When we talk about self-knowledge, we're talking about universal knowledge. When we talk about universal knowledge, we're talking about God knowledge. We're still talking about self. The three in one. Man, God, and the universe. All one. Jesus' statement is simply, Father, that I and thou are one. Ahad is the Arabic of the Hebrew. Ahad is the Arabic. Means one, means God. what's on the back of your dollar bill in relationship to the high potentate of the Masonic order at that time. Taurus, the bull, the second sign of the zodiac, is given birth by the energy planet Venus. And what I mean by that is that the energy that we are interpreting as the personality character of Taurus is the energy of the planet Venus. I would be missing a point if I said Taurus as a sign and symbol has no power. As a symbol, it doesn't. As a sign, it does, because of what it represents in your human and divine nature. We're going to get to the abstract of the 12 points in the circle later. I started to go in now. I don't want to get into that right now. I want to get this done. And you'll find in the Bible the word, particularly in the Old Testament, for bull is ox. The ox and the bull are same animal. So when you're reading a certain passage, and I had a great one picked out, did I put a marker by it? Did I write it down? Or did I just leave it hanging? There's a psalm on Taurus that describes Taurus throughout the whole psalm. I got it written down somewhere. Maybe I can come up with it before the hour is out. I'm pointing out the self-knowledge in the Bible under the auspices of astrology. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to do like a lot of astrologers say, the Bible is about astrology and nothing else. And that is the way wisdom is written. It's written on all three levels. Information is written about one thing only. I like to do this because I just kind of discovered this little thing here. This is Taurus, the horns. Okay? As the receptive factor of that part of your nature coming from Aries, the head, that allows the human and spiritual growth to happen. What you see here in the configuration or glyph of Taurus is the crescent moon, which is the symbol of emotions as well as mother, and the circle is represented as spiritual. But you also see here a bowl or a cup. That's not on the head in representation, it's in the neck. Taurus rules the neck. Aries rules the head. Taurus rules, by rule we mean influence. We mean the constructed composition of the neck is Taurian. The back of the brain, the cerebellum, is Taurian. The ear is Taurus. Okay? And the medulla oblongata is Taurian, which is right at the very base of the brain, this round bulb, very much like a light bulb that lights up like a light bulb, okay, is Taurus. Okay? These strings I got across here represents the corpus callosum. These straps or muscles that run from one side of the brain across the neck to the other side. In other words, this side of the brain controls this side of the body, and vice versa. This side of the brain controls this side of the body. This is the material side. This is the spiritual side. We've seen that in the two hemispheres of the symbol of Aries. So that we see the continuity, the reason I go back and forth here. We're talking about a whole being, you, having 12 parts. Okay. That we are the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 sons of Jacob who become the 12 sons of Israel. who become the 12 disciples of Christ, who become the 12 apostles, the becoming of G-O-D, generator, operator, destroyer. That's what we're trying to do. Okay? That's the process. Viewed from an astrological vantage point, a knowledge vantage point, instead of belief. You can get there on belief. You get the white robe and the long hair. But you can't get G-O-D on belief. You got to have knowledge. And if you don't get it on this plane, you got to go to the next plane to get it. But the knowledge will be the same. In other words, what you all study now is what most Negroes have to study when they get to heaven. So instead of y'all going to the first grade, y'all might go to the 12th grade. Or you may go up there to be a candidate for a teacher. Because you got to do something in another civilization. We're not talking about going floating on some cloud somewhere. You're going to another civilization, another planet, on a higher level. It won't be hard like this one. But you're going where people are. Hopefully where higher people are. Because there's some people down there, down there, on lower levels, angry. The ones who leave here angry, go there angry. And go to an angry place. They go there warring. When they get there, get the war. Okay.
Into this place?
Is
that this place?
Worse than here. Worse than here. Worse. There are places worse than here. There's heaven and hell going on down here.
Okay.
There's some places, some level. Ain't nothing going on but hell. You don't get no sleep. You got to watch your back 24/7. And some places where you get killed, you die, then you wake back up. And you got to go fight again. The Medulla Oblongata is a very important point in your spiritual development. We do a little exercise in affecting the Medulla Oblongata because it is responsible for the energy coming from your spiritual cord center of your astral body. There's a cap here that opens and substance pours out of that into your physical body from your spiritual. This is where the blood of the lamb comes from. What color is the blood of the lamb? Anybody know? Y'all ain't got the blood of the lamb yet? Y'all running short here. Get busy. It's both red and white. Real new blood and pure liquid light is the blood of the lamb. And you already got it. All you got to do is get this open. And it opens in your meditational process. Okay? All right. We're talking about Taurus, the physiology and anatomy of the 30 degrees of the Taurian part of our nature, the part that has, I have, possessions. And we've got a Taurus in here, and they like things. They like cars, they like shoes, they like dresses, they like money, and they take care of it. And that's important because there has to be that group of human beings that take care of material things. You see? That can handle it. Some folks can't handle it. They have it, but they can't handle it. And that's important to be able to do. The throat is the other aspect of the Taurian personality. And Taurus is in between the spirit and the earth. Because it's in between the head and the body. Even though it's interesting that this part of the body is called torso, and in Spanish, the bull is called toro. In Latin, it is Taurus. That's interesting. But it's in relationship to the connection of the head and the body, the neck. The Lord held out his hand to a stiff-necked people all the day long. The Old Testament is the period of the cycle of Taurus. That's why the Hebrews are depicted as using a golden calf. Now, what needs to be corrected, the Hebrews did not invent, design, or create the golden calf. That is Kemetic, ancient Moorish, so-called Egyptian. They got it from their previous, quote, slave masters. Okay, so we know where it came from. The problem is, they didn't know what it meant. Okay? And the Egyptian masters did. It represented the era, the age of Taurus. We've already looked at the great year, the great cycle. We'll look at it again as we get further down the road.
But was that the idol? Was that the idolatry?
What they call the idol, or idolatry.
I thought that was the gold that the calf was formed from, was the idolatry part.
No, in the story, now stay in the story form
Okay.
to look at it one way, and then bring it out to look at it in its spiritual meaning.
Okay.
In the story form, they were supposed to be worshiping this golden calf, even though they had been told that it was an abomination to worship things. And then Moses is supposed to be up in the mountain getting these laws, and he's late, and the brothers want to partake. And then they got tired. So Joshua said, look, let's do something about this here. Let's get the gold up. Everybody give up the gold. We're going to build something. And that kept them occupied. Attention focused on something of value. That's a process. In the Taurian age, black folks built pyramids, temples. They built obelisks. They built houses. They farmed. That was the age of building, the age of putting things on the earth that were at various levels, higher levels of culture and better living for today. That's what the Taurian age represented. Some were so outside of the knowledge of things spiritual that they bow down, just like Catholics go to church and, make the sign of the cross and look at the statues and go and, they're doing it today. But they're supposed, in 1990, they're supposed to know what the hell they're doing. They're not worshiping a statue, but the image and the meaning of what the statue symbolically represents. Okay, the disc represents the sun. The spiritual sun. And one of the crowns of the ancient Kemetic spiritual stations is that of a golden disc. There's some black folks walking around with them on right now. The Atin is the disc. The light. Okay. The neck, the throat, Medulla Oblongata, all of this. This is the brain stem. This is the rest of your brain is here. You think with this stuff. Okay? And if you listen, you can hear this stuff speaking. Okay? All parts of your human is intelligent. All parts of it. Your hand can speak. You are an intelligent being. We're not regulated to the head only. Your heart can talk and will talk to you, but it's not your heart, it's your soul speaking through your heart. But the heart has information about what it really is. Everything is intelligent, everything represents intelligence. From the head, Aries, bent over backwards, touching the feet, Pisces. It's a circle of 360 degrees of man and womb man. Okay. Venus is the planet of beauty, divine love, and something I found that I did not know. It is what Jesus is referring to, or is referred to by Jesus in the book of Revelations as the morning star. And I shall give you the morning star. I think most preachers think he's talking about giving them the sun. But he's talking about giving them divine love. That's what Venus represents. Okay. Keep in mind, love is power, and powerful. The heart chakra is the center of where love opens. It just doesn't stay in the heart chakra, it goes throughout the whole body. This is the symbol of Venus, as you recall. That's a what?
Oh.
Right. Where is that found, young lady? Young lady, young lady. In its reality. Any of
You don't think, did you say it?
Yeah.
Where?
The one with vagina.
The
No,
uterus.
not on the uterus. On the wall of the uterus, you'll find a physiological tie of the ankh. That's where it comes from. In other words, it's provided by nature, not by man, which represents everlasting life, eternal life, real power, real life. Okay. The female is the symbol of love on the planet. The male is a symbol of wisdom on the planet. When wisdom abuses love, it loses its power. And that's what the black man is paying. His taskmaster is the white boy. The weaker one gets a chance to dominate the stronger one. And it galls our egos. White boy, he ain't better. You know, we know he ain't better than we are. But our karma has put us under his foot. And to become to the knowledge of self. Okay. Having the form of godliness, but not according to accurate knowledge. That's what Paul ran on. The important thing is that almost everything I've said is in the Bible. Almost everything I've said is right in the, you know. And our folks ain't getting it. They get it dibs and dabs. Okay. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, means that the energy of Venus has its full expression in the 30 degrees of Pisces. Each sign has an exalted place in the 360 degrees where it's most influential and effective. That's what exalted means. Okay. But the gland that this particular planet influences, not rules, influences. The word rule and influence are synonyms. Because we're not talking about being, don't go running to somebody and say, the planet's made me do it. Mm-hmm. You're influenced by it. But take it not lightly. The influence is subtle, but very powerful. Because our glandular nature fits this energy. It stimulates us to act and to be activated so subtly, we think it's us. And those who are commercially smart, they can tune in at a certain time, certain symbols, and make all y'all go to the store. Spend all y'all's money. Yeah, and they've been doing it. If you wonder why advertising time costs so much, because they can make so much in such little time. And if you, every now and then, you'll see the subliminal seduction, you'll see something flash in between commercials. They sell that.
Yep.
A split second of time to get you down into that store. Hey, let's go to the mall, honey. Y'all jump in the car and go to the mall. They put the picture in there. And the picture makes chemistry. I'm now supposed to reach and get my lemon, see, do that. And my apple, I ain't bringing none of my fruit to That's all right, I'll get around to it. The parathyroid gland, it regulates metabolism and helps to balance our chemistry, which is, of course, an important factor in keeping good health and a sense of equilibrium, a sense of balance. If your equilibrium is thrown off, you're doing like this. Okay? It's virtually drunk. So this gland, all the glands are important. Let none be slighted, but the parathyroid is what allows you to get up, get yourself together, and head to where you're going, and to get there and do what you're supposed to do. When your chemistry is off, your behavior, your feelings, your thinking, your body functions are off. When you wake up gripey and grumpy, don't be bothered with nobody, don't be kissing all on me. Something's off balance. Okay, we're trying to keep our balance, get our balance, and keep it. Okay? Chemistry helps us to do that. The better the food you eat, the better the chemistry you're going to have. And supplementing is important.